Okay, a few words on the fiscal year 2018 tentative budget review and discussion.
Yes. So, at the last board meeting, we introduced the tentative budget. The board took action on that budget. And so we have a couple of meetings before final adoption needs to take place. So it's an opportunity, if the board so desires, to have some conversation about any of the items within the budget. I'd like to just take a few minutes beforehand to review an abbreviated version of the initial presentation that was provided at the last board meeting. So we've got various factors affecting our bottom line, ranging from state aid to the fact that we are dealing with a 2% cap, budgeted fund balance, which are resources that are unused in one fiscal year and move forward to the next, and our enterprise operations that generate revenue to help support the budget. On the expenditure side, certainly the continuation of high-quality educational services. How do we continue to do that with the limited resources that we have? We also have impacts from unanticipated services, staffing, and tuition from the current fiscal year 2017 budget year. Health benefit costs certainly have an impact, and what those rates will be for next year have to be taken into consideration. The result of collective bargaining requirements have to be built into the budget, and of course charter school costs, which we have no say on but have an impact on the bottom line. In addition, one of the other factors is the shrinking enrollment that we have seen over the last several years and is projected to continue on. It's not significant on a year-to-year basis. However, there is an enrollment decline that we are experiencing. So in terms of background, we have within the budget salary and health benefits reduction in force taking place for next year. In the K-5 teachers, this is all due to enrollment. There'll be a reduction of 9 teachers in grades K to 5. We also have a reduction of 2 basic skills teachers built into the budget, and that is at Hammersholt. This is a result of federal funding. And the slides, for some reason, seem to have gone out of order. So, moving forward, our fiscal year 2018 budget, as of March 10th, we had a shortfall. We had a estimated revenue of $148.9 million. Our appropriations were estimated at $151.2 million, for an overall shortfall of nearly $2.4 million. In reconciling what that shortfall was related to, we break it down into several pieces. First, in salary, we looking at a $1.5 million increase in salaries. We are a people business, and so that is the lion's share of what the budget is comprised of. So salaries will be going up $1.5 million. We have additional special education positions which are required to provide services to our students. And in addition, there were a number of special education positions that were not anticipated in the current year budget that will roll forward into next year. That accounts for about 2.34% increase overall on salaries. Health benefits will be going up about 7.28%, and that's broken down between benefits net of the new positions and the benefits related to the new positions. Special education tuition is seeing a significant increase, going actually overall about 37.5% increase. The current year, we had unanticipated tuition of $178,000 as of March 10th. We have been encouraged by the state to reduce our anticipated IDEA funding for next year, which has gone in the past to offset our tuition expenses. So that reduction was originally planned at $350,000, and then $447,000 just in regular year-to-year advances in tuition. There is no buffer in the special education tuition lines. It is exactly for the number of students that we have now, and we know we will continue to support in the next year.
Mr. Giuliano, before you go on, I just
Yes.
want to mention again that this is a discussion that we're having at the Middlesex County level right now about the cost of these special education placement programs, that they are unfiltered, they're unregulated, and these rate increases come and we have to pay them. And so our choice is, do we send the child to that placement, or do we find another appropriate place to place them? But these rates are out there and they keep going up, and we've got to do something about it because taxpayers of East Brunswick and other communities can't afford to support these kinds of enormous rate increases that are really unanticipated, unsubstantiated. So we're working from the county level and plan to go to the state level. So.
As long as we've stopped for special ed, Bernie, I was wondering if you could just speak very briefly on the IDEA funding. I believe that this was originally set up by the federal government, funding to provide for special education, and it was supposed to be 60-70% roughly of what any school district needed, but yet I don't think any school district has ever received more than 18-19%.
Oh, to be able to support special education services? Absolutely not. It doesn't pale in comparison to what our total costs are when we look at our in-district programs and supports that are provided for students, the out-of-district tuitions, and not even getting into the whether or not we include child study team services, for example, but just looking at direct services, we are, I'm going to say ballpark, over $20 million of the budget, and I can give you more precise numbers when we meet at the next meeting.
But to point, when people ask about where the funding comes from for special education, the formal funding that was set up by the federal government never, ever realized the promise that was made to us to begin with.
No.
So a reduction in what was already a minuscule amount is not anything that can make a dent in what we need to spend. Okay.
Yes. So.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So moving on, extraordinary services for our most involved students. Those services are going up almost 20%. And then as some reference points, I included transportation contracted services, which will be going up next year, as well as the fuel to operate our buses, almost 10%. Charter school payments will be going up almost $110,000, increasing our total obligation, that's taxpayer funds being taken out of the school district budget, up to $2.7 million to have to pay to the charter school.
Well, that's very similar to our shortfall.
Yes, it is.
And we have no control over that number.
We have no control over that. It is a mandate.
And the pupil transportation contracted services, is there a cap on an increase that bus companies can charge us?
Yes.
There is, okay, good, somebody's got a cap, okay.
Yes. Yes, one of the only areas where there is a cap, actually.
Gotta start somewhere.
And we are an employer, and so our employer FICA contributions will be increasing as well, about 7%. So when we look at our selected items that I just reviewed, and in total, they're almost $5 million, and the estimated revenue growth on the tax levy of 2% at $2.4 million, that puts us in a place of being about $2.5 million short. So when we compare that to what our budget development shortfall was that I mentioned earlier, we can almost say with pretty good confidence that those key items that I just went through are directly aligned to the overall shortfall that we had projected with our budget development process. And so how are we adjusting for that? We've got a number of appropriations adjustments that have been implemented and thus reflected in the tentative budget. The lease purchase financing of the Warnersdorfer roof, we had planned to provide for that financing in the tentative budget. That will not be able to occur. That doesn't mean that the project won't take place as planned. The project will be developed over this next year and implemented for the summer of 2018, which is what the plan was to begin with. It's just the funding source will come from a different pot, if you will. We have some debt that will be retiring during the course of this year, and that will roll over to help finance the roof. IDEA Title I funding. I mentioned on a previous slide that we have to reduce our IDEA funds to be able to bridge, based on the state's recommendation, based on the state's recommendation. We don't know what the federal government is going to provide in terms of IDEA funds, so we're taking a calculated risk by saying rather than reducing that grant money by the $350,000 in IDEA, we're going to mitigate that and anticipate a lesser reduction. So we're rolling the dice a little bit. It's a calculated risk. We are anticipating that it won't be at the full reduction that the state is initially indicating that it may be. Exit payments, these are payments for accrued vacation leave payable to individuals as they exit the district for retirement. We projected what our costs would be, and we're able to make some reductions in this area. Our unemployment compensation reserve, we feel comfortable in reducing the amount we contribute into our reserve, and that will be by $70,000. Again, in health benefits, anticipating that our claims experience will be good over the next several months and result in a better rate than what we were anticipating renewal at. We felt comfortable in bringing the health benefit budget down by $150,000. And the same in utilities, looking at what our usage has been and taking a conservative reduction there of $109,000. That alone did not help bring this budget into balance, and so we had to make some revenue adjustments. And so we have a number of students that are coming into district from other school districts that have been placed here by the state. They are in foster homes, and so we will be collecting tuition from the districts from which they came. That's estimated at about $200,000. We are anticipating that our Performing Arts Center will generate a profit, as it has been doing, and so we have $350,000 earmarked to come from the Performing Arts Center. And our Early Learning Academy equity transfer will be opening 2 additional sections next year, which we anticipate to generate $50,000 in net revenue to come into the budget. And lastly, a health benefit tax cap adjustment because of the increase that we are seeing in the health benefits. Although it's, in comparison to many others, a modest increase, it does qualify the district for a tax cap adjustment, and so an additional $407,000 in tax levy. That alone didn't cover it, and so we've got reductions in force, an additional resource room teacher that had been requested in the special education area. The department has reviewed its needs and has come back with a recommendation to be able to reduce a full-time budgeted staff position to a half-time position, and that results in the savings from half salary and the associated health benefits that would go along with that position. In addition, a support staff reduction of 6.5 full-time equivalents. That is the full-time salary and health benefits of 6 positions in the support area, and reducing 1 full-time position to a half-time position, saving half the salary and the benefits associated with the position. After making these adjustments, our budget is in balance. The tentative budget was approved at $149.9 million, with revenue equaling appropriations. Now, on the tax levy, our general fund tax increase will be $2.8 million. The debt service fund, because we have paid off some of the debt, will be reduced by almost $600,000, providing for a net tax increase of $2.2 million, or 1.73%. The budget continues to support and improve our instructional programs, co-curricular and athletic activities. There are curriculum improvements and continued investment in technology. So the things I said earlier with regard to continuing to support the educational program that the community expects, it certainly is continuing in spite of some of the adjustments that have had to be made. We did as much as possible not to impact instruction. And so the budget includes additional teaching and support staff to provide for Mandarin program in world languages. Now that is being offset by the reduction of 2 Spanish teachers, so that is essentially budget neutral. In special education, there is a new section that needs to open for the LLD program, and associated with that will be 1 teacher and 1 instructional assistant. An additional resource room teacher of 1/2 of a full-time equivalent. I noted on a previous slide that it had been a full-time equivalent and was reduced by 1/2. So this is the net. An additional autism section is required, which will have a teacher and an instructional assistant associated with that. And club advisors have been added into the budget for elementary, Hammarskjold, Churchill, and the high school, and this is in response to the community's feedback last year when we had strategic planning activities. We had a meeting back in January of 2016 to garner the community's input on what they wanted to see in the school district. In addition, an 8th grade baseball coach is included in the budget, this too, as a result of the feedback provided by the community. And we will be centralizing our registrar functions rather than having our student registrations occurring at each school. That will be centralized here at the administration building. This is budget neutral, but it does require a shift in position from one of the schools to the admin building to be able to provide these services to parents.
Bernie, before you go on, we have pay-to-play in the district.
Yes.
Parents pay per child, per extracurricular activity, clubs, athletics. So this does offset, even indirectly, some of the costs associated with these club advisors and coaches?
It doesn't, I won't say that it offsets, there's no recommended change to the participation fees. So the fees that had been in place will remain as they have been.
But I'm saying that,
But there'll be more offerings to students.
no, I know that, but we also collect money.
Yes.
Correct.
That's.
So there are offsets, oh, I see what you mean. So yes, there are offsets that come from the revenue side, yes.
Not self-supporting, but there are offsets.
Right,
Yes.
it's not subsidiary,
Yes.
right, okay. Thanks, pal.
Sorry, I didn't quite understand the
No
question.
problem.
It's a spring break question, so apparently too much time.
Only if that were true. So, key dates. Time is running short. So at the next board meeting on April 27th, we will have the public hearing on the budget, at which time the public will have an opportunity to come in and speak and offer their commentary. And then at the May 11th board meeting will be the time that the board adopts the final budget. Budget information has been posted to the district website, so all of the materials that the board has are available to the public. And there is a link on the main page that will bring you to that information. And anyone who would prefer to just look at a hard copy of the budget is welcome to do so here at the administration building in the office of the school business administrator. And that's it.
Thank you. Any questions or discussions tonight? I just urge board members to, with questions, information they'll need before the next meeting. Of course, you can get in touch with Bernie or Dr. Valesky, but also Susanna, who is our really excellent finance chair this year. Okay, reach out to her.